Hello there everybody and welcome back to Memory Gamma. Today we're going to be doing another video based on a viewer suggestion. Thank you very much. We are going to be looking at the Enterprise B. Now some people might think, well, this should be in the Heroes of the Federation list since it is an Enterprise. Okay, yes, however, we see it for about 10-15 minutes at the start of Generations. And the only important thing that we see is that it's the one that gets Captain Kirk apparently killed. That's all we see about it. Everything else we know comes from the beta canon. Things like Captain John Harriman goes on to captain it for a good long while, and then Dramora Sulu, the helmsman, eventually becomes the captain herself. The Enterprise B is lost while exploring, I believe, gaseous anomalies, and is lost with all hands, and then the Enterprise C comes in. On the Enterprise C note, we haven't got an Enterprise C even in the game, so I can't do an Enterprise C. And the only people that we have from that era would be sort of technically Tasha Yar at the moment. However, and that's even then only from yesterday's Enterprise. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do, it's been requested for a 50-point max Enterprise B. So, I'm going to bring up the Enterprise B. I'm going to try and stick to canon as much as possible. So, i.e. John Harriman as the captain. Kirk could come along as an admiral. And then I'll try and keep it as close as I can with, you know, TOS crew from that sort of same era. And then we'll go from there. Based also upon the ability of the ship. So, let's start with the Enterprise B. Excelsior class. Now there are two versions. The original version allows you to, during the combat phase, you can swap out a token beside your ships for an evade token. The new Enterprise B allows you to, whenever you perform the action on a Federation crew upgrade, you put one less time token. Now it has been requested for a These Are the Voyages Enterprise B, so there we go. Now, Captain John Harriman. Now, we have two versions of John Harriman. The original one allows you to do an evade action as a free action at the start of the activation phase. That's not bad. Yes, you get an Aux power token, but you then get to move. So therefore, you could have planned a green maneuver. Not bad, but of course, the one we're going to go with is John Harriman, the new one. As a free action, you can put 2 time tokens on him to do a Federation crew action as a free action. So every other round you get a Federation crew action as a free action. Thanks to the Enterprise. And then the Enterprise means that you put 1 less time token on whichever crew action that does. Now, for Admirals, there are a few we could do. We could go with Kirk. This one gives us 2 extra crew slots, talent slot, a bit of bonus defensive. It's not on a Connie refit, so you don't get the second Admiral. And this would give us a talent slot which we could use to do Legacy of the Name. Gives us another free action of anything we like, which could be crew. So this gives us 35 points. We've got 15 points left to the max. So now we want to look at Federation crew. And I want to go to the cheap end and we want to have a look at crew. Now, what you could do here is you could give him, won't be installed till Tuesday. Very thematic for the Enterprise B. It was the whole point of why everything went wrong in that first mission, because all of the important stuff had been left behind. So we could put that on here, by all means. It gives us you know, a couple more points. It save us a handful of points, and some of our stuff comes in more slowly. So we could totally do that, at which point I will do what we did last time and go that, and we will add in, oh, there we go, the talents, 2 talent slots, so 1 for Tuesday and 1 for Legacy of the Name. So won't be installed till Tuesday. That's the one that goes on Harriman, and then Legacy of the Name. At which point then we go Tuesday crew, Tuesday tech, Tuesday weapon. Okay, we've got 12 points left, but remembering we get a 6-point discount on our crew and tech. So let's start with the crew, since this is what we're looking for. And we're also going to restrict it down to just the ones that require actions, because they're the ones that are able to be done by John Harriman, but also you're looking for time token ones thanks to Enterprise B. Now there's not an awful lot of action time token crew when you think about it. There's tons of crew, but a lot of them are action with nothing, action disables, disable with no action. There's lots of different combinations. So for example, Tal Celeste, she is a free action, 3 time tokens for a free scan action. You could do her and it would trigger that, and it would put 1 less time token, since it is an action that she is performing. But again, she's Voyager era rather than original series. So we're looking for things that are going to be a bonus for this ship. Now the problem is the Enterprise B does not have an ability which affects the sort of game. Basically, it doesn't have an ability you can build around. It gives you an ability that allows you to build in a different ability. So it sounds like I'm being very obtuse there. So unlike some ships, for example, the Enterprise D, which allows you to fire with 3 dice at 360 arc with range 1 to 2 instead of firing normally, that's something you can build in. So you can give it type 10, you can give it primary weapon boosters, you can make it double fire, and then you can build up so that ability is really good. You know, other ships have got abilities that grant bonus actions, so you can work ways to keep yourself in actions or give yourself more actions. You've got ship abilities that cancel damage, so you can work in bonus hull, bonus shield, all that sort of stuff. The Enterprise B just allows your actions to be redone sooner. So this is a much more flexible ship, but it does mean we have to think about what we want to do with it. We can't just throw on 4 crew upgrades all with actions and time tokens and go, there we are, because they're not going to synergize. So we're looking for crew, 1 or 2 crew. That's about all we want, really. 1 to do with the Enterprise action, 1 to do with Harriman's action, and then maybe, you know, Legacy of the Name to do a action bar action as a free action if we want to. And we're looking for crew that do these sort of things that can, you know, give us something cool to do with the Enterprise B. So Rand, Janice Rand is interesting. She disables herself whenever you perform the action on a elite talent upgrade to get a battle stations token. So that works with Legacy of the Name. When you trigger that free action, you do get to disable her for a battle stations token. Now that's nice, but again, that's a disable. She's not a time token. So yes, and she's not an action either. So she's something that happens later on. You've got to find out a way to re-enable her. But we'll put her on because there's never a bad thing. There's never a bad time to sort of do that. Maybe put her on the Tuesday, because that way, yes, she gets 3 time tokens on her, but you know, this is a means you can spend the first few turns building up. We can always move her around later. Now, Dremora Sulu. This is an absolutely perfect example, because she is a crew member that was on this ship thematically. She's 2 points, and for an action, 2 time tokens gets you a 1 bank left or right. The Enterprise B makes that 1 time token, so you could do her action every single round if you wanted for additional move. Not a bad shout. Additional maneuverability. It's got a 270 coverage, so yeah, making sure you're inside a firing arc is never usually a problem, but it is certainly worth considering. Who have we got? There's again lots of crew members who are disabled or older ones, or not from this era. So Perrin, Pulaski, Deanna Troi, Scotty. Scotty's not a bad shout. He was on board the ship during the main mission, the first mission of the Enterprise B, and he does have a time token action. So his action is you put 2 time tokens on him and target a ship that's got a construction upgrade. If that's a friendly ship, it gets to do a 2 straight. If it's an opposing ship, you get to remove all the Orc's power tokens that are on him and put them on the enemy ship. Now he also absorbs your Orc's power tokens, so that's not a bad shout. You can have him on there. You could do a couple of red maneuvers, one after another, and he'll take both Orc's power tokens. They don't affect you, and then you can do a free action with Harriman for STAWtty to pass them off to a friendly enemy ship. However, it can only go on a ship that has a construction upgrade. So, that is Ablative Generator. Very few people use it. Federation Prototype. There are only 7 ships in the game where you can do that. The Demonable Retrofit, which is probably the most likely one since it works on any Federation, Klingon or Romulan ship. And then of course, the enhanced hull plating on the NX. If you're facing the NX with an enhanced hull plating, it's usually the Columbia or the NX-01, and therefore Orc's power tokens, they don't usually care about them. So, it's nice. I mean, at the end of the day, what he works out as is he's a 3-point card that absorbs a pair of Orc's power tokens. That's nothing terrible. His action gives you some flexibility as well. And you've got some, you've got Hikaru Sulu, if you want to bring Dramora's dad along. T'Pol, STAWtty, 7, these are all the Voyagers. You've got, so you get into the modern one, so a Federation Helmsman is just an action for a white maneuver. Now, you could bring him, and it would allow you to go, John Harriman trigger Dramora for that, and then an action for him. Gives you 2 additional maneuvers. However, at that point, you need to be really working for something, otherwise there's not a lot of point. Just throwing on, I can make 5 maneuvers a turn with this ship. And what's the point of that? In a mission, if you've got to get somewhere in a race situation, amazing. In a normal combat, 1 move, a shoot, and then a move after you've shot is nice. What else we got? We've got engineers, Tuvok. Now, Tuvok obviously served on the Excelsior, so Tuvok was in Starfleet during the TOS era. Yes, he was there for a few months. However, on a sort of slightly meta thing, Tim Russ, the actor, did appear on the bridge of the Enterprise B as an crew member. So we could do a Tuvok. This Tuvok is a discard for a free scan action. However, he has been supplanted by the more modern version, Planning Phase Disable. Or we can go, now this Tuvok is nice. Action, now it's action disable to do a action bar action, battle stations, target lock, and then another crew action as a free action. Now he could go on. We could use Harriman to trigger Tuvok. Tuvok could then trigger, say, Dramora. And that gives us, that's all as a free action. Now Tuvok does disable himself. That is a downside. You have to then use your action to re-enable him. But there's, you've got more than enough actions on this thing. John Harriman gives you a free action every other round on a crew. Legacy of the Name gives you a free action of anything. And one of your available actions could be re-enabling a crew upgrade. Again, not the best thing, not perfect by any stretch, but a possibility. However, now we're getting to that 47 points, so now we're really limited. Now we're really sort of like up top on that, and we've still got to put in tech and weapons. Yes, they both get a 2-point discount, but unless we put something that's only 2 points in there, we haven't got a lot left. So let's go for, let's type in time tokens, and we'll have a look. Okay, wow, that just says that's just these 2. Okay, so time tokens doesn't work with that. Okay, let's go for actions, and we'll go back to where we were on the 3-point crew with Tuvok. Now, the other crew member that was on this ship was Chekhov. His one would be that none of him are actions. They're all disable when you do something, or just remove Orc's power tokens on a white maneuver. So not so worried about putting him on here. We could do, I mean, you've got McCoy, you've got... This Sulu is not bad. Gives you the ability to do a sensor echo as a free... You do an action to perform a sensor echo. So you do your green move. You could then trigger Dremora with your free action. And then Hikaru with your actual action. So it gives you possibility 2 moves and a sensor echo. That's not bad by any stretch. And if you use it with the Tuvok, then that Tuvok allows you to... So John Harriman could trigger Tuvok. Tuvok does his own thing and then triggers Sulu. And then you've still got Dremora to do your action. So you've got a lot of potential there. So if I throw Sulu on... So now we're at the 50 points. So now we're looking for just really cheap 1 or 2 point tech. So we're not going to go over points. And I will say this, as I say to every single one of these videos, this is not the only way to build this ship. This is a way that's coming off the top of my head, and I am building this just based on things that come to my mind as we go. Trying to be thematic, John Harriman, James Kirk, who won't be installed till Tuesday, Janice Rand, you know, is that sort of era. Tuvok was around at the time, you know, and I'm trying to keep it sort of thematic, but obviously, as I said earlier, this ship's ability just allows you to put in a different ability as its thing, rather than a ship which already has a usable ability that you can build on. This gives you a foundation to put an ability on, rather than an ability that you can build around. So you could do impulse efficiency. Your white maneuvers, removing that. Graviton telescope, if you've got a scan token, maybe not a bad shout. Genesis effect would get you another crew upgrade, and actually that's a free upgrade. Yes, you get 3 time tokens on the Genesis effect, but I mean, that's a long time coming, and then you have to put 2 time tokens on the crew when they come out. So actually that's a really long time before you get the workable crew. What else could we do? We've got full reverse to go. I mean, full reverse is a very Enterprise B thing. Full reverse away from the Nexus. That's quite a cool thing to do. You get to do 3 straight backwards. And with STAWtty working, that's not a red maneuver. Well, it is a red maneuver, but you don't take the Orc's power token. So, what else have we got? There's some couple of 2s, parametallic, and then we're on to the generic-y ones. Okay, so let's go. I'm actually quite liking full reverse, but it is a disable. But again, we're moving middly early, so we can keel in the 2, you know, the 2 reverse. We can scream backwards 3. STAWtty absorbs the Orc's power token. You've still got your actions. You open up the range a bit. It's a nice, you know, okay, it's not the best thing, but it's a possibility of a, you know, a nice maneuver flexibility. Now, weaponry. There's lots of weaponry we could do here. I'd love to do something like a dorsal phaser array, but it's too expensive. Or putting on... I mean, Type 8 is a nice standard one. It's 3 dice. If you've got a weapon value of 3 or less, every time you fire one weapon, you get a +1 dice. So, certainly not a bad idea. Mark 6 photon torpedoes are again quite nice. Flat 4 dice. If you've got a target lock, you can disable the card, target them. You get to convert one of their battle stations or evades into a blank when they roll. And provided you do some damage, you get to reacquire a target lock. With the idea being that you get the target lock, you use it on your rerolls to get your damage, and provided you damage them, you can re-equip your target lock on them. So not bad, and it does cover the entire forward arc. Doesn't give us a rear coverage, but then neither does Type 8. So that is potential. We could do, I mean, could do these. I'm very sorry. I mean, if we want to, experimental torpedo A. It requires 3 times worth to come about, but then we can put any torpedo we like, 5 point underneath. and then we go for the really high powered 5 dice sort of 5-point ones. Using the Federation torpedoes, 2 points, 4 dice, battle station to hits, blank to battle station conversions. It does work on this ship because you have got double action effectively, because Tuvok can do one of them and then you can use your actual action to do the other one. But with only 4 dice, I would like, yeah, I would prefer to do something a bit. Also, with, say, for example, those photon torpedoes can be fired out of the rear firing arc and the forward, and it gives you 5 dice, flat 5 dice with a battle station to crit conversion. So, here is the Enterprise B. We have Captain John Harriman leading the ship out on its maiden voyage. James T. Kirk is coming along as an observer. Won't be installed till Tuesday, and that is Janice Rand's full reverse and experimental torpedo bay, all of which are currently being installed. James Kirk has bought the legacy of the name. He brings along the name of the Enterprise, or it could be the name of James T. Kirk at this point, because yes, it does let Enterprise in there, but the name of Kirk would also do very well. We've got Dremora Sulu, Tuvok, Hikaru Sulu and STAWtty. All of these do have actions. However, between Tuvok's double action, Harriman and Legacy of the Name, we could do all 4 crew actions in a single round and still have our actual ship action. Because you would, for example, do your move and then go, right, trigger Harriman. Well, you'd have to, so yeah, it would take up your whole thing, your whole action, sorry. But yeah, you would be able to do all 4 of your crew actions in one turn. So John Harriman would trigger his free action. He would do Tuvok. Tuvok would do his ability and then Dremora Sulu or whatever, or Hikaru Sulu. Then you trigger Legacy of the Name to do the other Sulu, and then your actual action could be STAWtty. So you can do your move, do a bank with Dremora, sensor echo into range 1 to 2 of the enemy, and then use your action on STAWtty to hand over your Orcs power tokens. And that could even be done after you've done a 3 reverse, thanks to full reverse, because STAWtty would absorb the Orcs power tokens. So, this is the Enterprise B. It is, it's an Excelsior class. It's not outstanding in any particular field, but it is one of the best sort of hulls to build from. Relatively cheap. I mean, maneuvers aren't brilliant, but with 270-degree coverage, maneuvers can afford to be a little bit lax. You know, combined 9 durability. In this case, the Enterprise, Legacy of the Name, it could have bought Flyer Apart, an Excelsior only talent, which is one of my favourites. So this is sort of my idea for the Enterprise B. I hope, Scott, that this comes in as something what you were thinking of. Again, this is not maybe the best Enterprise B. This is not the only Enterprise B. As I say in every single video, there is no right answer or wrong answer, and my builds are not the be all and end all of this is what you should use by any stretch. If you have a particular combination or a build you like, please drop it to me. I'll happily look at it. I'll even do a video on it if you want. If you have another request for me, so another particular named ship or a particular card you want highlighted, again, drop me a message and I will get round to them. Otherwise, as I said, thank you very much, Scott, for the suggestion, and I hope it lives up to your expectations, and we will see you next time.